Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Zigzag Way by Anita Desai. This novel was published in 2004 and it is about an American academic and writer. He goes with his girlfriend to Mexico and in that place he rediscovers his passion for fiction writing. Eric is a postgraduate student. He and his girlfriend Emily, who he calls M, lives in a cozy apartment in Boston. Emily is a scientist. Eric is working on a dissertation on immigration patterns in the US. But somehow Eric doesn't feel satisfied with his research. And therefore he is struggling and striving with no interest, but he has to complete his education. And therefore, to finish a thesis, his professors had told him to go for a trip to Mexico. And Emily also goes on a field trip to Mexico with her fellow doctors and scientists to do research. Bored and having lost his inspiration to continue the thesis, but having the need for fresh inspiration to write on something else, Eric decides to join Emily in Mexico City. On arriving in Mexico, Eric is told that he cannot live with Emily in the research site so that Emily will not get disturbed in her work. Now, Eric has nowhere to stay and so he decides to explore and travel around Mexico and also to develop his fiction writing skills. Eric attends a lecture by the famous academic Donna Vera, who in her speech mentions some mining towns that vaguely strike a memory in Eric, because his grandfather had only once mentioned those names and he had not forgotten them. He remembered them so nicely. And so Eric decides to visit the Sierras to try to connect with Donna Vera in the hopes of learning more about his grandfather. Soon Eric is off on his own, traveling to the Sierra in hopes of learning more about his Cornish grandmother, who came along with her husband to Mexico and died in childbirth during the first days of the revolution. Eric takes shelter at a mountain estate where Donna Vera, the lecturer whose words inspired him, has turned into a center for studying Huichol culture. During this time, the plot breaks away from Eric to explore Donna Vera's route. A teenager who grew up in a troubled and poor family like many in Mexico, she first made a living by becoming a sex worker. She eventually became wealthy and respected due to her will and perseverance. Now the plot turns to Eric's grandfather, telling the story of his perilous voyage to Mexico and the many Cornish immigrants who died, were killed, or were deported after all their hard work. At the end of the novel, back in the present day, Sierra Madres, Eric attends a local festival called La Noche de los Muertos, or the Night of the Dead. During the ceremony, he meets a spirit from the past who shows him a glimpse into his own future. Though the torturous parts of its characters often seem impossible to understand, the Zigzag Way suggests they can be better navigated by referring to the past and seeking to understand one's ancestors. Here ends the story. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box, like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.